Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the brand new mixtape by Young Lean called Stardust. So here we are then, a new project by Young Lean. And last time I talked about Young Lean was nearly 2 years ago on his previous album that he released called Stars. And in this album, I overall enjoyed it. It ranked up there with one of my favourite projects that Young Lean has released. But I did have a few qualms with it, mainly Young Lean's actual performance on it. The instrumentals were mostly really good, however, I thought Young Lean's ideas didn't come out as well as he'd probably have wanted it to because of his vocal delivery not being the best. Now, Young Lean himself, if you want to quickly know about him, is a Swedish rapper who's been making music now for over a decade, mainly under the name Sad Boys, with his producers Young Sherman and White Armour, and often affiliating with Drain Gang as well, who I've covered plenty on this channel if you want to know more about them. But sticking with Young Lean, of course, he's dropped a lot of different mixtapes, albums, and went under different pseudonyms, and has been a very, very prolific artist who's been obviously very creative, and I think has inspired a lot of new and upper coming, if that makes sense, rappers. And I've always had a few issues here and there with Young Lean, even though he's dropped many, many songs over the years that I've loved. He's never quite hit the nail on the head in terms of a full project, for me at least. There have been many that I've really enjoyed, but there's always been some, just a few issues here and there that will they be ironed out eventually? Who knows? Well, are they ironed out on this Stardust mixtape? I've been seeing a lot of people really disappointed with this thing. It seems like a lot of people are feeling the same and being very disappointed, saying it's one of his worst releases. And I think most people will be like that because of the things that were released prior to this coming out. Was, for example, the song Trip, which is a really good song. At first, I wasn't too bothered about the noise that was going on throughout the whole track. But I did get used to it, and I warmed up to it quite a lot, and I do enjoy that track. And also, just before this got released, we have the song, which is the first track on here, featuring, of all people, FK Twigs, who I absolutely adore, one of my favourite artists. I'm really kicking myself I didn't talk about her mixtape that she released quite recently. But anyways, I love her music. She's made some albums which like rank up there with some of my favourites. Point being, the first track on here was released. Great music video with it, and is absolutely just totally different to everything that's on here. It's almost like post punk, like cold wave. It's interesting. I mean, Young Lean has done similar sounds with that before. He has been in technically a punk group before, but never in a song of this caliber. This is a fantastic track, and honestly, almost is like a throwback to some really, really good Cure. Just that sort of great gothic sounding punk music, which I really enjoy. But obviously, most of that sort of style didn't have someone like FKA Twigs doing a sort of chorus and just really contributing excellently to this song, and Young Lean on here. His previous music, I always say that I have an issue with the things that he's trying to do in terms of his vocal registry and such like that. He just isn't capable of doing it, and because of that, it's disappointing because I feel like with a better vocalist, or if he was able to get better vocals, he would be able to sell the picture that he's trying to paint. However, when he does songs like this, he's got the perfect voice for it, and I think that's why the song works so well. My point being is that people went into this track Bliss expecting something like it throughout the whole thing, and they didn't get that, and I've been seeing a lot of people complaining and saying it's like the worst thing he's released, or one of the worst things he's released so far in his career. Now, do I agree? No. In fact, I would go as far as to say I actually prefer this more than Stars. Now, I know what you're thinking, you're being a bit too lenient. Please don't click off the video. I promise I won't say anything like that again. The other problems I had with Stars, I feel, are actually mostly addressed on Stardust. Now, what were the issues? Well, I'll give you a reminder of some of the things that I said.
It's just the vocal blemishes which I just feel that ruin some tracks. Sometimes the warbly vocals that Liam has actually works to his benefit. I think it's more to do with his slower ballady tracks where he's having to hold a consistent note. That's his kind of Achilles heel, if you will. But when he's doing it with rapping or he's doing more fast tempoed singing, it actually conveys a kind of interesting effect and is actually enjoyably unique.
So, vocal performance. Is he now, a fantastic singer? No. But I feel that he's creating music which suits his vocals overall much better. Like I say, this track Bliss, which by the way, so catchy, and who thought of putting in those sort of ding, like ringing bell noises in it, that sound like if you want to get someone's attention when you book into a hotel. Who thought of that idea? I don't know, but it's so catchy, and it's overwhelming, this track, but it's just fantastic. It's got a real great groove to it, and it's just what a great opener. I love this track so much. And I get to say, Trip, is great too. Just it's got this sort of quirkiness that Young Lean suits, along with this really cool instrumental too. I said one of my favourite tracks on Stars was songs like Dog Boy, and I think this is kind of the same sort of style. But contrast to how well developed this first track is, Bliss, a lot of the tracks on here are total opposite. They're actually very minimalist in its sound, but it's different, yes, but I would argue that that doesn't make for a bad track. These tracks instead end up having this very dark and foreboding atmosphere. You can take the track, for example, Gold, which is the third track, and that's so minimalist, it's basically just some sort of tiny melody that's backmastered. And then you've got songs like Nobody Else, which has really good synthesizers in it, very chilling and atmospheric, but then you've got these very interesting, like, I don't know how you would describe it, like bit crushed percussion sounds that go out throughout the track, and it's so icy sound, and it sounds like something that would be on like a snow level on a PlayStation 1 game. Similarly atmospheric as Waterfall, with these really soothing arpeggiators and this grandiose chord progression which goes throughout the track too. Like, no real beat to it, but it doesn't matter because the song itself still sounds really good. And it suits again Young Lean's topics on here, which my personal opinion in terms of what this project's about is taking the sweet with the sour. You get these really sweet, sometimes vocals from Young Lean, these very sweet and beautiful sounding instrumentals, but sometimes it contrasts with these very, like I say, dark, sometimes sounding instrumentals, and the vocals that Young Lean does, which, wow, if I was to still stick with the opinion that Young Lean is a bad vocalist and blah blah blah, I would definitely think it on some of the tracks on here. Yeah, especially songs like Stars to the Rainbow. Wow, when I first heard that, I was just like, what in the hell is this? I think this is the perfect analogy for the sweet and sour descriptions that I'm trying to give you guys, that I think describes this mixtape, because it starts off with this really pretty instrumental. In fact, at the end, it ends with like bird song, So you kind of think, oh, this is going to be a really relaxing track, but it's not. It's a really experimental and strange one, because not only is Young Lean's vocals very whacked out, but you definitely know it is, because there's parts on here which are very overblown with is the mixing with his voice on here, and to accompany it sometimes is just this massive distorted 808 kick, and yeah, it just contrasts really strangely. But I think that's why when I first heard it, I was just like, what in the hell is this? But with repeated listens, I just got used to it more and more, and I actually really enjoy this track. And I think that's what people should remember about music in general. Like, I bet most people will put off this song by one listen, And it's like, you guys have got to realise, like, sometimes there's songs out there, just music in general, that you might not like first listen, but if you give it enough attention, you can get rewarded by enjoying the music more than other songs that you might have enjoyed straight away. Like, some of my favourite music I hated on first listen. Most of Radiohead, Captain Beefheart, I could say many things, but they've become some of my favourite music ever by giving it that attention. And it's an example here for this song, which at first I just thought it was terrible, but repeated listens, I really enjoy this song. It's one of my favourites on this mixtape. Most of these instrumentals, like I say, are fab in my opinion, and yeah, they're not all perfect. Like, for example, there's the track Paradise Lost. This features Antoine, and yeah, this is very minimalist. This song is mostly just acoustic guitar. I use quotes because it's so fake sounding. It sounds like a pretty cheap plugin that you'd find on GarageBand. Pretty disappointing, to be honest. I really like Young Lean on this, actually. I think his repeated refrain throughout this track is really catchy. And yeah, Antoine, he's mostly good. Like, I was very not looking forward to his vocals, to be honest, because the track that he had on that Warsome Blue Summer album was horrible. It was just terrible, and I was kind of like tense listening to it. Like, please just don't do anything weird. And then he does this noise. And it's just like, you nearly done it, Antoine. You nearly done a feature that didn't have a stupid noise. Next time, you'll get it. Then there's another pretty infamous track on here called Lips, which features production from, of all people, Skrillex. And this is a guy who, not too long ago, was kind of mocked by Young Lean. But hey ho, opinions change, and obviously he likes him enough to get him featured on here. And Skrillex, this song it sounds like his impression of Burial. And it just sounds like a Burial demo, to be honest. It's got exactly that sort of aesthetic, that sort of lo-fi, nocturnal sounding aesthetic, but yeah, it's just so repetitive and it's just not developed whatsoever, really. And Young Lean on here, he's kind of trying to make like a sensual striptease sort of track, and it just comes off as a bit awkward. There's parts of it I like that I want you, I need you. I think that's actually quite cool, but some of the lyrics on here, I just get a bit unnerved. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but yeah, it's a weird number, this one. Yeah, if you actually enjoy this song, kind of like me, you probably fit into the same sort of crowd where you would not play this out loud to anybody unless you have that sort of special someone who you're quite freely open to be weird around. Other than that, yeah, this is a headphones only listen. And going back to the vocals from Young Lean, what I was saying before about how I really like his quick tempo rapping. I think it's just excellent. It's my favourite thing and sort of style that Young Lean has, and he began it to me really on that Blue Summer mixtape by Warsome. And there's a lot of tracks which fit that category and are fantastic. In fact, even better than the songs on the Warsome album. Songs like Gold and Trip, Letting It All Go, and Visions, the outro track, they all fit in this sort of category where Young Lean's actually spitting really quick, and it gives this a sort of like spellbind and like dizzying sort of feeling when you listen to it, especially with the sort of quite depressed lyrical topics too. Again, I think just paints this sort of picture that he's going for, which is like a bad trip. I mean, it's not all like this, of course. I think Summertime Blood is a great example of a song that people should be very inclined to listen to and enjoy straight away because it features good old Blade and good old Echo 2K. And this makes, again, for a fantastic combination. I always love it when all of these guys collaborate. They've never made a dud altogether, and this one is definitely not an exception. It is a fab song. This again is actually produced by Skrillex and is far better than that other track, Lips. It's got these very tasteful, sort of distorted and warbled vocal effects that go out throughout the track. It's like sampled, but very tastefully done. It's not irritating, and it's got these very bright synth leads which come in too in the track. There's no dubstep breakdown or anything like that, but like I say, very tastefully done. It's not overbearing or anything like that. It actually gives this track a very vibrant energy without just going over the top. Now, if you're familiar with Drain Gang's music, especially Blades, I actually would compare this mixtape to Working on Dying. And for me, this song is kind of like Working on Dying's Cherry Bracelet. This one little tiny speck of brightness in this sort of overall land of darkness. Like I say, this instrumental is great and it's got a very playful atmosphere, and the vocalists on here too have this very playful exuberance too. Like, Blade first comes in and he almost actually flubs his vocal delivery because it honestly sounds like he was about to crack and start laughing. But again, it gives it this playful energy, so it works actually really well to its credit. Of course, Young Lean's great on here. He's got this sort of braggadocious delivery, which I really like, suits it really well, very peppy. And of course, Echo 2K's got this very breathy and angelic vocal too, which as well is great. So I think I'm just going to end it there, to be honest. Like I say, this has actually ended up one of my favourite Young Lean projects. It's beat Stars, in my opinion, as a better project, actually. Again, I kind of consider, is it as good as Stranger? Repeated listens, I'm not sure actually, because I'm enjoying this project more and more. But it's a hard thing to beat if it was to beat Stranger. But it's definitely up there as one of my favourite Young Lean projects, despite, like I say, many people, at least for now, are saying it's one of his worst. But that's the beauty of opinion. You might one day catch me on this channel actually saying I don't like this when something's actually universally loved. But this time, I'm actually giving a project a bit credit and saying that it's, for now at least, quite underappreciated. So I'm going to actually give this project an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it and would recommend you guys to give it a listen and then give it another listen and another. Give it more of a chance, like I say. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I think Young Lean nearly knocked it out in the park. There's a few blemishes here and there, like I say, not perfect, but he is getting there, and I'm really happy to say that. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Hope you're taking care of yourselves. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening.